Hey guys, it's Sean here, and I'm with Sand Mew from the Footprint Connection, and I've been working now with Sand for about 3 or 4 months. She can tell you a bit more about what she does, but basically energy work and clearing one's stuff, which has been an incredible journey so far. I'm looking forward to continuing that journey with her, but we thought we'd have a bit of a chat and get a little bit of more of a backstory on what Sand's background is, her journey to date, and hopefully give you guys a few lessons and a few things you can take away and apply as well. So welcome, Sand.
Thank you.
Excellent. So I've got a few questions here, but just to start with, is maybe give us a little bit of a bit of an understanding of your journey, like where you're from and sort of how did you get here?
Sure. Okay, so I'm from Germany. To start with that, so my journey started when I was about 6 years old, or 5 or 6, and I was walking over a field of grass, and I looked at my feet. I was barefoot in summer, and I just thought I looked so different to my families, my sisters, my mums, and I was like, something's weird about me. I'm different. Why do they look so different to me? I'm the same family. Maybe I'm not part of that.
Yep.
And that sort of started me off in observing the world and everyone's body shapes and personalities. And with 16, I got really sick. And it took me, I was about 2 or 3 months in bed, couldn't go to school. I was very, very sick. And I hit rock bottom. And I pretty much came to this point where I was sitting in the bathroom floor in pain and agony. And all the specialists said, look, we can't help you. We don't know what to do. Like, we know what it is, but no medication is helping. So then I was like, well, is this it? Like, I was sitting on the floor going, well, maybe that is it. And then this voice in my head was like, but no. But then I was like, but maybe it is. Like, who knows? Like, what should I believe now? And then this voice just went, no, you've got something really big to do. You need to get it out into the world. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have anything else to lean onto right now, so I guess I just go with it. What else should I do? The next day I had a number in my hand with a natural therapies specialist referral, and he helped me within 3.5 days. I was nearly back to normal.
Wow.
And then I was like, wow, okay. And that spurred me on my journey. So then I learned 3 keys, which then transformed everything after that, which was always listen to your intuition, because I knew initially what happened, and I had a discussion with my doctor, and she convinced me to take her approach, and I didn't feel it was right, and in the end I gave in, and that offset it.
Instead of listening to intuition.
Instead of that, which I always had done before. And then stress is a killer. So we need to totally work on coming back into our body, releasing stress in all forms. And then the other one is body, mind, and spirit is all connected. It's all one. A thought leads to an emotion, leads to a body physical experience, and it's all one, and there's no start of the circle.
Definitely something that you've been teaching me over the last few months at a deeper level. Absolutely. So that's great. So to get those lessons, at around 16, that's given you, I guess, a good foundation for the thing what you do now. So maybe just let us know, what is it that you focus on now? What's your I suppose your purpose? What do you do, and why do you do it?
Yeah, so I guess just to continue from there, I then traveled lots the world, and I studied consciousness in all shapes and forms, and how people believe and create their reality, but also how they work with health. And so then I studied naturopathy, reflexology, you name it. I did like all sorts of diplomas and advanced diplomas, from nutrition over herbs to whatever. But I always went back to the emotional aspect and how we really create our reality. And so even my teachers back then were laughing and said, you just do your thing. And I always came back to that. So in the end, the last quite a lot of years, I've done a lot of clearing work. So I see the whole body. I take it as a journey of 3 steps. Always goes through the body, no matter whether we work with business or with a physical condition or an emotional problem. It doesn't really matter. It always goes through the body, because our body speaks it all. It's all mapped out. So I just simply read it, no matter if it's in person or online. And then we clear whatever's up that's holding those beliefs in place. And we clear any trauma out of the way, pretty much, so that we can be fully embodied and fully here and present in the parasympathetic nervous system, but also just, really wide open and clear. And then that way we're highly discerning. We can listen to our intuition, our truth, and then we can unapologetically share our gifts, which is then the last one, where we really then show up as who we are authentically and can make the biggest impact.
Absolutely, and it's definitely a lot of the work we've been doing on is around me showing up fully and doing what I'm doing and putting myself out there more and more, and it's really had a positive impact as well. So a couple other quick questions then. What's the best piece of advice that you have ever received?
The best piece of advice, just when I hear that question, the first thing I think of is this teacher that I've had just after I was really sick with 16. I did this Ayurvedic course and with a guy that was not from this earth. He was so different. I was like, what? So it brought up a lot of judgment in me. And I was like, whoa, how can he be teaching? But he taught me so much. So I was like trying to see past all the masks, right? Or all the I don't know, he was like, he sped half the time and his writing was illegible and like it was just shocking, like, but in many ways totally unpresentable. But he lived with all these ancient cultures and he had all this knowledge in his heart and he shared it so beautifully. And he just looked across the room and would just be able to tell us everything, like our deepest thoughts. And I was like, I wanna be able to do that. How does he do this? So I was like, oh, that's your gift. I can't do that. And he's like, no, you can learn it. And I was like, how? And then he's like, well, you just journey in. You got to journey in. Your journey is in. Don't journey out. You're always out. You need to journey in. So that's kind of embedded itself. And then from that point, my whole journey onwards, I was always journeying in, and that helped me to journey out more. And everything got confirmed. And then just a few years ago, I was like, I'm doing what he did now. That's what I do now.
That's great. Great to realise that too. And that's obviously why you're here at our Inner Circle Mastermind event to speak and actually share some of your gifts and knowledge and things with our members here, which is great. And it ties in with our theme about know thyself, because that is about going in, not about out. Because the external world will throw a certain perception at us or whatever, and make us think or believe, deliberately or otherwise, certain things that aren't actually our truth. So, which is something that definitely learnt from you as well. So, fantastic. What are the top 1 to 2 things that a business owner could do to grow as a leader, do you believe, in the context of how you teach and what you teach?
Yeah, so I guess what I haven't mentioned is that I help conscious leaders take the brakes off. So pretty much it's about, taking perceptions and changing them, but we can't just do that consciously. It's like the tip of the iceberg. We need to do it consciously. It's all about the mindset work, but there's this massive iceberg at the bottom, under the surface, under the black water. We don't know how big it is and what it's hiding. And about 40% of that is governed by 40 generations that came before us, which is, most people are not aware of that. So that's influencing everything that we do and think without us realizing. So when we see it as someone, like a conscious leader that wants to be on stage and reach people and reach more people, and you might go, you're fine with a small group, but then all of a sudden you talk to, let's say, a few hundred people or a few thousand people, and it brings up maybe a choky feeling or a lump or a sickness or whatever, and you go, well, why can't I do this? I should be able to do this. And you can think of yourself in any other way. You can think of yourself as a leader or this or that way. But if your body believes something different, you can't shift it. And so this is where we need to then release that deeply. And it's pretty much trauma stored from different lifetimes that is influencing us now from other generations and our own lifetimes.
I might just quickly talk to that too. That's not something I was expecting when starting to work with you, because you also said that I also do this, this past life. Past life regression stuff, I think, whatever you call it, past life work or something. Spiral, And as part of the spiral, but it was like it was a bit weird to start with, a bit freaky to start with, but the feeling that came up in going through that process of how real it actually feels is not made up in your head. It's actually experience. You're recalling experience. You're not just thinking up something. And in the fact that all you ever ask is, what do you see? You don't ever plant a seed or try and manipulate. It's just purely what is coming up, and it's been an incredibly powerful process that I've observed as well.
Yeah, it's based on the fact that our body is represented in the subconscious is represented in the body, right? So you got your subconsciousness that's represented in the body, and so therefore your body is going to show it to you. That's why I say the first step is always listen to your body, because your body will show it to you. It's never just a maze and like a needle in a haystack. It's not like that. It's very obvious, because if you go to the one thing that's there, you see it's pointing the way. So by then releasing that and giving it a voice, it's like your subconscious gets an opportunity to throw up whatever needs to be seen, and that's the next step.
Great, fantastic. Last question. In your opinion, what's the number one reason people, I guess, succeed in business and or life, like to create that, I suppose, that the success, not in the terms of having a private jet and $10 million in the bank, which most people actually don't want. They want I suppose more experiential or more choice or more time and things like that. But what do you believe is the number one thing, or even doesn't have to be one, things that help people to create that success in their life?
Yeah, I feel like it's all about that. So it's what you're saying. It's not about the outer success or the outcomes. However, we're all conditioned to go for the outcomes.
Yeah.
So we all want to have the healthy body so we can be fit, so we can be, I don't know, attractive, or we want to have a successful business so that we can have time freedom or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's always that outer journey, but we need to bring it back to the inside. Again, it's that coming back to the inner certainty. Once we have inner certainty, it doesn't matter what happens. So it's the biggest shift of focus, of not trying to aspire for the things in order to have something else, like you mentioned too with the bee, and so that you can do and have. It's about really coming back to the inside and really landing in the body, being present in the body, and then therefore we can create an inner certainty. It's like, I see it like a platform inside, and it feels solid, and no matter what happens on the outside, no matter if you lose your business or your partner or something else, it stays solid with you, and that way it's not going to put you in a complete upside down tumble in case something goes wrong. You can just hold your space and then move from there and create more. And that allows you to then also expand with ease, because you have that certainty and it's not pinned on something else.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that, particularly over the last few months. And having travelled about 18 months ago around Australia in a caravan, doing limited time on my business and focusing on that to have some different experiences with my family. And then finishing that about 6 months ago at the time of recording this. The expansion that I've seen is based on that. That certainty was there, but it became more prominent or prevalent, that platform for me, while I was actually kind of switched off more from noise and stuff and just out in the abundant space of rural Australia and gigantic lakes and things that are 19 times the size of Sydney Harbour and all those amazing experiences that we had. Really started to help me to get clear on what was actually the most important for me, and what that certainty was. And that's what ended up, one of the reasons why we ended up finishing the trip when we did, is because I knew that I needed to live that at a higher level. So, but
it's all about creating in a space where we can get to know ourselves first and foremost. I've always traveled too for many years, so I feel like that was the biggest part of me to really get to know myself, apart from the conditioning that I've gotten from my parents. So definitely always highly encourage that, taking time away to really meet yourself. But also we want to create the space so we can hold it no matter where we are. So I've had this journey where I looked after myself a lot, like, hours and hours every day, yoga, journaling, doing all this stuff, and being a businesswoman. But then once I had my family and I had kids, I was like, oh, now my time is completely squished to nothingness. So then there's no time, no space, and you're running a business and you have little ones. So how do you then keep that space of inner centeredness and alignment, keep that going? And that kind of spurred me on to then create my business and teach people tools of how to do this fast, because people are busy. And they can't spend hours and hours away. And even when you get a chance to meditate or do yoga, most people say, I can't switch my mind off. And so it's about doing this as a daily practice whilst you're doing work, whilst you're driving a car, whilst you're having kids around. So it's like it's an embodied practice. So it's not like going on a meditation retreat and then having this beautiful experience and then coming back to the world and going, I couldn't hold it. Is it almost like you're being it rather than going and doing it? Exactly. It's a beingness. It's an embodied feeling. It's a wisdom that that you can access anytime, and tools, I guess. So that's what highly inspires me, to teach people tools to understand so that I can then apply tools to get them back to this place and keep it there. Fantastic. Awesome. Well, appreciate the time today, Sand. And if you'd like to get in touch with Sand, we'll make sure that we have a link to her website in the comments below. And other than that, we'll see you in our next episode. Cheers.